Are you happy with the city and the state of California's preparedness efforts and response so far to these fires?
No, not at all. Feels like the C team is running the show. We don't have the best and brightest running the state.
What would you like to see be different?
I think new talent. We need to fire the existing management team and get new talent.
Fires continue to ravage LA after days of poor leadership, incompetence, and the liberal urge to prioritize future climate change over the lives of suffering Americans. More and more people are getting fed up. More than 150,000 residents have had to evacuate the area. 25 have been killed. The damage from the fires are now estimated to be around $60 billion. The governor of California continues to make this matter about himself, urging people to donate to an Act Blue website benefiting Democrats by about 4% each donation, while at the same time accusing President-elect Trump of politicizing the matter. To add insult to injury, President Biden offered this, quote, immediate help to victims.
And I want to be clear, we're not waiting until those fires are over to start helping the victims. We're getting them help right now, as you all know. People impacted by these fires are going to receive one-time payment of $770, one-time payment, so they can quickly purchase things like water, baby formula, and prescriptions. So far, nearly 6,000 survivors have registered to do just that, and $5.1 million has gone out.
Change is so close we can taste it. Inauguration Day is 6 days away. Is this a wake-up call for the people of LA and California? Have the Democrats at the top worn out their welcome in the face of such tragedy? Joining us now is a face you saw at the top of the segment, Elizabeth Troutman Mitchell. She is a reporter at the Daily Signal, and she's been on the ground in Los Angeles reporting on the devastation. Elizabeth, welcome to Fine Point.
Thanks so much.
What was the most alarming thing you saw on the ground when you were covering the Palisades?
It was just shocking to drive through Malibu and the Palisades area and see that once beautiful green land just absolutely destroyed by the fires, houses gone, all that's left is chimneys. And we spoke to a lot of people who lost their homes, both in the Palisades and in the Altadena area. And like you said, they have just had it with their Democratic leaders, and they really are looking for change. Some of them, even Democrats, said that Newsom, Mayor Bass, have just absolutely failed them. They're extremely unhappy with talk of climate change instead of focusing on the real issues at hand. And I think this might be a turning point in California.
Is this going to be a turning point in terms of Democratic leadership? Are they just going to go find someone who's a little more sensible in their party? Or is this such a dramatic event that they are actually going to switch parties? What is your sense based on people you've spoken with?
It's hard to say. We did find several Trump supporters out there who are really excited for Trump to take office. They really think that he's going to step in and help California out in some way that we're not seeing from President Biden. But I think a lot of the Democrats I spoke to 100% are united against Mayor Karen Bass. They would like to replace her with anyone who is going to take care of them, not cut the budget, not go to Africa in the middle of fire season. People are really tired of her lack of leadership in this crisis.
So I guess the bigger question becomes Newsom, Gavin Newsom as governor, the culpability on his part on social media circles, at least, as you see that picture, that famous picture of the fish, the 3-inch fish Gavin Newsom saved in exchange for all these people's homes and lives. Is there any blame being placed on Newsom at this moment compared to Bass?
Absolutely. People who I spoke to said they'd like to see him recalled or resign. They really do not like things like what you just mentioned, that there's any factor in water allocation going towards a 3-inch fish is just horrendous. When houses are burning, people are losing everything. They evacuated with nothing but the shirts on their back, maybe their dog. They're in very bad shape. There's still some of the houses that still stand. These people are still in Airbnbs or staying with family. They can't get back to see their stuff. People have been harmed in a major way. They've lost everything, and they are blaming Gavin Newsom in a lot of cases here.
What's the reaction to Biden's one-time payment plan here, as we just heard from the Oval Office?
I think that really will not comfort these people who have lost so much. I think they're going to be looking for a much more long-term solution than that. Rebuilding is going to be extremely difficult. A concern we heard a lot on the ground was that there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape in California, a lot of environmental protections that make it very hard to build. It could be 5-10 years before the Malibu, Palisades areas, Altadena go back to normal because it's just so hard to build there. And so I think people have lost so much and they really might just need to leave California. It seems like that might be the only solution because it's going to be so hard to get back what they lost.
President Trump, President-elect Trump, is expected to visit California shortly after the inauguration. How do you think he will be received out there?
I think that a lot of people, of course, in California have been very critical of him, but I think that as he takes office, a lot of people are going to have hope that he can help the people in California and that he's not going to be like Gavin Newsom, who, is prioritizing the environment, talking about climate change, deferring blame. People feel like Newsom has not accepted the blame that he should take, and Trump's telling it like it is, hopefully coming up with just some common sense solutions to help the people of California. They don't want to hear about, oh, climate change, we need to stop climate change right now. They just want to hear what they need to do to get their lives back.
Well, Newsom did extend an invitation to Trump, but at the same time, he continues to conjure ways to blame Trump and blame Republicans generally. That does not seem like it's going to be a narrative that works. That said, I'm not going to undersell guys like Newsom because Democrats just have this way of surviving situations like this and, as one guest put it earlier, failing upwards. Do you see that in Newsom's future? Does he still have a political future after this?
I think that he, of course, has political aspirations and as a result has really tried to dodge responsibility for his role here. Even though he cut the fire budget, we know, by $100 million in June, I believe, which of course would play a role in being able to prevent and respond to these fires. The fire response was slow. The preventive measures were clearly not enough. And I think his failure to take responsibility, we're seeing that from Mayor Bass as well, is perhaps an effort to protect his political aspirations going forward. But I don't know if the people of California are going to forgive him for this, but I think it's very hard to forget losing your home to the fires under Newsom's leadership.
The interviews you conducted were so important because, even as we're seeing a changing of the tunes within the mainstream big lie media, they're still not really reporting these conversations. Another conversation you did on the ground was with Democrat, former state representative Mike Gatto. Remarkably, he says in your interview, when the history of these fires are written, people will conclude that it was 25% the weather and 75% incompetence and poor management. Why aren't more Democrats speaking out like him?
I think he's completely right that while there was a perfect storm of bad situations, dryness, no rain in a long time, very strong winds, the response was just very poor to this. And I think that it's great that we're seeing a Democrat hold people in his own party accountable. And I think you're totally right that more Democrats should be speaking out on this subject because he really, I think it means a lot coming from him that he's not just going along, towing the party line. He's really saying that there were failures here and there are changes that we need to see take place. And we can't just let Democrats skate by with what they've done and how they've managed this crisis that has harmed so many families.
Well, you're right about that. And it seems like Gatto was not afraid to just lay out the responsibilities that Newsom and Bass failed in their duties to the people of California. But he went on to say that the buck does stop with them, but they don't seem to realize that.